Is Legion of Superheroes Baxter era 1984 series, volume 3, issue number 27. Oh, it's got one of them has a cover by Steve Lytle, and the reprint in Tales of the Legion of Superheroes from like 12 months, 13 months later. That's by Luke McDonnell, hot off Suicide Squad.
I don't know. I don't think it's his best work. Maybe it just pales in comparison to Lytle's.
The Lytle one is pretty cool.
The Lytle cover is awesome. Even it's cool for even a Lytle one. Like I think this is one of his better covers.
Oh, really? I don't know if I agree with you. No? I think this one's kind of static, kind of like symmetrical.
I don't know. Mordru's pretty badass.
Yeah, Mordru looks cool. I think the Censor Girl kind of ghost, whatever.
Oh yeah,
I'm not too into that.
I guess I don't even look at the bottom half. I guess
I wish Princess Projectra was huge and front and center on this one. I'm just a regular person.
Yeah,
I do kind of like the inclusion of Yira Allen. Don't see her on the covers too often. I was never a huge fan of McDonnell. I bought Suicide Squad for a long time, but I never really liked McDonnell that much, even though he's solid, decent comic book artist.
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of hit and miss with me. I think it might depend on who's inking him. I remember his Deadshot stuff being really good.
Was that Kessel? To me, this looks like Carl Kessel maybe inked this. But I think a lot of times he inks his own stuff.
Kessel sounds right, at least for Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
So not a super lot happens in this. This one seems like it's dedicated to like tying up loose ends before we launch into some other storyline, right? Like it's what do they call this? Like a house cleaning issue or something like that?
Yeah, I guess I would call it that. I don't know if they call it that, but yeah, it's sort of a house cleaning, kind of a Levitz does these every few issues where he'll do sort of a like an anthology type of thing, spotlight a handful of characters. Like he does. There's that one later on in this issue or in this series with it says different paths on the cover. It's got a Brainiac 5 section, a block section, 2 others I don't remember. And this is one of those. And he does guest artists, just like in this one. There's 4 guest artists in this? 4 artists, 3 guests, right?
Right. That's right.
LaRocque, Doran, McManus, Colan, all inked by Mike DeCarlo. Unless McManus kind of looks like he inks his own stuff, but he's not listed as inking. He just says guest artist. But I think 3 of the 4 are for sure inked by DeCarlo.
He's the guy who inked the last 2 issues of this series. I don't know why Gordon normally was inking Giffen, but then DeCarlo did the last 2, and they're not nearly as good. But some of that might be because Giffen was rushed. I'm not sure. It's kind of surprising that Giffen isn't on this one. It seems like he gets pulled in a lot for those jam issues.
Yeah, I was kind of keeping an eye out to see if maybe he did the layout secretly. I'm not sure he did. The story starts out on Orlando. How do you say this? I guess I say Orlando. Is that what you say?
I think I just say Orlando in my
Oh, Orlando. Yeah.
Orlando, yeah.
This is at Epcot Center where Princess Projectra calls home. She's been Censor Girl for a while. I think they just last issue revealed that Censor Girl was Princess Projectra the whole time.
Lame.
Some good ass Princess Projectra drawings on these 2 pages.
Oh yeah, your favorite version. Yeah, her cape is missing though, right? Except for the top part of it.
This is kind of weird. Yeah, like they for some reason did the lines of her cape in magenta color hold. I don't know if it really shows up here. This stuff is magenta, and it's not filled in with color. And that was somebody's idea. They don't accidentally do that,
Right.
But yeah, it looks a little strange. She's maybe it's like you see in this panel. She's kind of kind of turning off her disguise of Censor
Right.
Girl and going back to, and maybe it's just continuing here.
So you're saying those lines are not from her transforming, that is her actual cape, right?
I'm saying
It's not colored in,
I think this is like an in-between,
like it's transforming into her cape.
like we're seeing the conclusion of her transformation there.
She has big hair.
Yeah, I don't remember her having this much of a kinky perm in other stuff.
Yeah.
But she's back on Orlando. I don't totally get the purpose of this scene. She at first makes it seem like she's going to
reclaim her mantle.
Right. Like while she's been on the Legion, it was because she got kicked out as Queen Projectra for a little bit. And now she's proven herself worthy of being the queen again, and she's here. Yeah, we think to reclaim her throne, she does all the motions, but then she takes the scepter that they give her and she smashes it, and she's like, I don't want to be the queen anymore. My new powers. Did you read this shit with her new powers? She explains her powers now.
She can see through all illusions, right? Not just physical illusions, like metaphorical illusions.
Yeah, basically her power is no more bullshit.
Right.
Like if you got any bullshit, she sees right through that.
Except that this power is bullshit. Like, this is so ridiculous.
It's totally dumb and pointless.
Yeah, like when I was rereading this, I felt like Levitz is definitely writing to grade schoolers with this. Like, this might sound sophisticated to a young child, but she's really saying nothing.
Levitz is so down on powers that are complicated to explain and convey, like Chemical King, and I don't know, on and on. Like he said it before, but then like this is Levitz's idea. She says these guys on Orlando gave her these powers. You've given me the ability to see through the illusions of this world. I see that the power of the throne is but illusion too. So I mean that's one thing. Like, monarchy, fuck that.
Right.
But like she used to be able to, she could create illusions. Now, if an illusion is presented to her, she can tell it's an illusion. But then she can also, she says, I see your souls laid bare, your heart's pumping, the heart of your emotions rising. Like this is supposed to be a sort of a
like she's seeing through them.
Yeah, like she knows everything about these guys, all the good and bad.
Right.
I don't know. It's just such a boring superpower.
Why would it make sense for her to leave and go rejoin the Legion? Like, wouldn't she see the illusions there and how that's all bullshit?
Yeah, it just makes it seem like she's going to be pissed all the time because all the bullshit she sees, she's going to call it out. All the dishonesty, or I don't know. I think you'll be overwhelmed with the negative with this power. So these guys kind of screwed her, giving her this power. I don't know why she would have taken it. But yeah, she's like, yeah, this throne is bullshit. I'm going back to my bros in the Legion, I guess.
I feel like this is all like haphazardly thrown together at the last minute. Like, first of all, I don't think he originally intended Princess Projectra to be Censor Girl, but when they decided to go that way, then because the character was so popular, they had to haphazardly quickly figure out a way to like unentangle her from, her responsibilities on this planet and figure out a way to write her back into the Legion and have an excuse to continue being Censor Girl, even though everybody knows now that she's Princess Projectra. So it's like this weird, I can see through illusions now. I feel like it's part of that attempted justification. I'll just go on record saying that I think Censor Girl would have been way more interesting if we never found out who she was. They just kept her secret.
Could be. I don't know that anyone. There'll be too many people like, who is she? Who is she? You got to tell her. It's just like on like who killed Laura Palmer. Like there was no way they were ever going to get away with never revealing that.
Well, in a way, at first she was kind of a Kent Shakespeare kind of character, like a placeholder, because they sort of alluded towards the possibility that she was somehow Supergirl. They were never going to come out and say if she was Supergirl because they were removing her from continuity. But
I don't think Paul Levitz he's not that courageous of a storyteller. to do something like that, where it's like, oh, we're gonna create like a fake version and go with it.
Right.
He wants to explain this stuff, and he wants it all to work and hold water, and he doesn't want the fans to hold him accountable for anything bad, probably.
Right. I think he should have at least held on to the secret longer because, the letter columns are packed with people talking about her up until now. Anyway, I think, he's blown his wad now. It's just another lady Legionnaire.
How long did they keep the secret, though? Quite a while, right? This is 27. I think they were new Legionnaires like on 14 or something, right?
So like a year?
So yeah, I guess a year and a half. And I mean, reading them all back to back, that doesn't take too long. But like when we read these issues, just imagine reading this comic and then waiting a month for the next one. This is the slowest fucking comic book. Right. It would have seemed like 3 years. But she splits. She gives up her throne. Again, I think she does this kind of all the time. She gives it up and then goes back over and over again. She's like, I don't need your throne. And then later she comes back and she's like, I'll rule when I want to. And she's the queen again.
Right. Because by 5 years later, isn't she Queen Projector again?
I think so. I mean, she's not in this series to any degree. I think she shows up way, way into it in the 40s or something.
Yeah.
Oh, this panel here, this weirdness, this made me think that maybe Keith Giffen did work on this a little bit. This looks like Giffen. This does not look like LaRocque here. Yeah. But this page is terrible. Like, you have no idea what's happening on page numbers. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she crushes the thing. Like, the reading order makes no sense. Over here, she gets the scepter. She crushes it, and then she goes through a little bit of a spiel. And in this page, first panel shows her crushing the scepter again, and she says something, and then this dude's like, "Projectra, then, if so you would be called," as if she's like denying that she's Center Girl or the Queen, but it's actually like this dialogue seems like it's actually continued from the panel over here where she crushes the scepter because it has nothing to do with anything. So I don't know. It's bad. It's not done too well. And I don't know if it's because Giffen handed off the thumbnail mini comic to Greg LaRocque and he's like, what? And because he draws this whole thing over a weekend or what? I don't know. Not well done. Not cohesive here.
I agree that bottom panel that you pointed out looks like Giffen. It may well be. But these, like the 2 pages previous, I have a hard time. Those look like pinups collaged together.
Yeah, this looks more like a LaRocque page, right?
Like it's built around the picture of Projector on the right. Like he wanted that drawing in there, and then he squeezed the panels around it.
Yeah, this is not a particularly good layout either. Like you read, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how you read this page.
Maybe, except in panel 2 there, she's dropping it, and the next page it breaks.
Well, exactly. It doesn't make too much sense.
Right.
Yeah, I think Greg LaRocque has a problem sometimes with, and I don't know if it's the script or if it's him, quite often reading through these, he, like the thing that I feel like ought to be the big event on the page, it's a non-event on the Greg LaRocque version. Like crushing the scepter and then seeing through the baloney of all these people.
Right.
That seems like that's the important parts of this story.
Right.
But instead it's just her like waving her arms around and staring at us. And you don't even quite get what's happening with the part where she's using her powers on these posers who are trying to just reinstall her in the status quo. Even though she now sees just how pointless it is to be a monarch.
Right.
Not well done. And I think LaRocque does that fairly often.
And maybe they're prioritizing novel panels over coherent storytelling, like the way a lot of these panels on those pages are laid on top of one another.
Yeah.
It's more varied looking, but it messes with the readability because you don't know the order to read it in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you look at this page just looking at it without reading the balloons. It's like, I think I read it this way, this way. But this here, that's an important thing on the page. And it's completely lost. You might even totally overlook this stuff. And the dramatic part of her like literally destroying the symbol of her queenly power. She just drops it. It goes crack, you know? But they try to make it up over here in the first panel of this page. But even that's not quite enough.
It's weird. Usually when I see pages laid out like that, it's implying that it isn't sequential. Like maybe you're seeing the same thing from multiple vantage points. But since there's dialogue in every panel, there is a sequence to it. It isn't all of these things happening at once. Layouts like this, I see these a lot in like trippier comics where things get a little psychedelic and you're seeing her and the crowd within the same moment. Like it's happening simultaneously from different angles.
Yeah, it's maybe like if LaRocque is trying to draw it as like a montage style sequence, but then like they're also adhering to the script, calling out each word balloon in relation to the panel that belongs in, and LaRocque has ignored that in favor of making this a cool montage. And so the letters got to put them in there somewhere, and the reading order gets way out of whack.
Moving on.
2 bad explanations.
Is LaRocque still with us?
I think so. He must be retired, though, because he's got to be pretty old.
He's really going to hate us by the time we're done with this podcast.
People like him. This guy in the letters column, he says LaRocque is one of the best artists. But then he kind of chalks up the quality of the artwork to Malstead. So
I think he tends to do really good first pages. Like,
what's the first page of this look like?
This is not. He does like, I feel like 20 issues at least from this series start with like a head close up drawn really well. Like a detailed close up drawing of Element Lad. I think several issues open up with that, and it looks really cool.
Just another example of like Levitz and LaRocque just kind of burying the lead, where Censor Girl she's kind of haughtily given up her title as Queen of Orlando, and she's leaving to go back and rejoin the Legion. And she has this exchange with some guards who are guarding this weird fiery portal that lets her go back to...
After Karate Kid died, I thought maybe they like left the regular universe or something. Like they went into another dimension or something. And it was sort of like a farewell, like I'll never see you again. The chances of us ever getting back are slim, something like that. So her leaving here might be like, she thinks she's leaving for the last time.
Yeah. And she's, she sheds a little tear right here.
Right.
But like the most dynamic looking thing on this page is like this thing where she's flying through some weird squares to get back home, instead of like, I gave up everything, whatever, farewell my home planet or whatever. It's stuff like this. It's throughout this whole 1984 Legion series where they just kind of just don't do the drama, like it's a soap opera, but you don't do that stuff.
We are now on to Colleen Doran, right?
Yep.
Awesome. I really think she's a great artist, though this is not maybe the best. Like, I don't think anyone is at their best in this book, but a lot of it is maybe the color of the paper.
Yeah, the color is definitely not good on this. Like, this is supposed to be really beautiful. And like none of it is cohesive. Like I don't know anything about color theory, but I know what I like. And this looks, I don't know, there's a lot of browns against teal, and I don't know, like this doesn't look like a beautiful place. It just looks like an average place. But yeah, it's this is a sequence that's Element Lad and Officer Aaron on Trom among all the Sarin stones.
He's talking about how he made these tombstones, I guess.
Yeah, they're basically a little mineral obelisk or whatever for each dead trauma.
I thought I read somewhere and maybe I must have misread it, but at some point I thought these were actually them, like what remained of them, like their bodies had turned into these stones.
I think even the caption box here makes you think that.
Oh, okay.
But the caption box says Trom, most beautiful of the so-called cemetery worlds, with lavish displays of precious metals created by element-changing inhabitants before their death. So I think that I read that and it was kind of misled. Like it's just talking about all the structures were made by the Tromites, but it shows you like you look at the spread of these pages and there's like all the little statues, and I think that caption box makes you think it's referring to those things, and they were created by the inhabitants before they died, like
Right.
I guess as they died, but that's not quite accurate. He Element Lad explains how he made all these himself.
I wish they would have done more with Element Lad in this setup in general, though we return here like in volume 4, I think, but it just seems like a really great premise. Like he has the whole world to himself. He's the last survivor. Everyone else is dead. Everything there is like made of gold and diamond and all this. So everybody in the universe would love to come here and grave rob. I don't know how he manages to be in the Legion at all. It seems like it'd be a full-time job just protecting the planet from people who want to plunder all the valuable minerals it's been transformed into.
Yeah. Well, he's got these like gardener robots. Maybe there's some protector robots there too that. But he's here to show Officer Aaron. I don't know. It's like a date, you know. It's like they're getting more serious. He's like, "Hey, you want to go see the
come see my home?
Yeah, the cemetery planet where I'm from." And you want to go to church on Sunday on my cemetery planet? She's like, "Yeah, that sounds real fun." But they imply that these two
things are getting kind of serious,
right? She's like, "Are we getting married?" And he's like, "That's your thing, baby.
We've gotten to the point in our relationship. I want to take you to meet my family." They're all dead.
Yeah, I wonder if he knows which of the stones belongs or is the scene of the death of his parents.
Oh, sure.
Probably, you think so, huh?
Are they were kind of a small population, I think, right?
He does say that in here. Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably take a while for him to like individually make every one of their markers.
It's crazy. How many people are on Earth? Like some billions of people. But on Trom, there's what, a few hundred, whatever, enough for him to make a memorial for every single one of them and still have a career as a Legionnaire.
What is it they say about like the population of China? Like you could never reach the end of the line. Like if if they were all lined up and you walked beside them, the rate that people were being born, you would never reach the end. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, like it would take your whole life, or it would take longer than your entire life to walk. Infinity.
Right.
Wow.
So you definitely couldn't get around to burying everyone on Earth this way.
Yeah, I just wonder how many people, like how big is the planet Trom? How many people were on there? Not too many, I guess.
Not too many, I don't think. Yeah, there weren't, Roxas didn't have a lot of people. It would have taken him a long time to kill all of them.
Yeah, but didn't he used some kind of nuclear catastrophe from space or something to do it. But yeah, it turns out it was only a few hundred people.
Is the planet radioactive?
They make you think that because she has her suit on and the next page.
He's somehow immune to it.
Yeah. Like she's concerned that her radiation suit begins to glow, but it's actually just Element Lad. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. It seems like Element Lad is making like a big elemental portrait of them in the church or something. Like he's putting on some kind of light show or something. Can't really tell what it is. The page design doesn't emphasize it. Don't really know what's going on. It's this page.
Right. Oh, yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you're using your power to make my suit glow." And then you see the pair of lovers down here, very small, and then a larger version of them up here. I don't know what it is.
I like these pages still. Like the first church panel, like 2 back maybe.
Right here.
Yeah, on the left. Yeah. It's just so clean. Plain like Kurt Swan's work is, like some of the Silver Age guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think the color doesn't do it any favors,
Right.
but yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think there is a like Swan versus Doran. Yeah, really similar kind of sensibility there. Did you ever read those Distant Soil comics? I never did.
Yeah, I don't think I've read any of them, but
People don't really talk about Distant Soil, but I think she's done thousands of pages of that comic. I think she still makes Distant Soil comic, and like I see the back issues from I don't know 1982 or something, long ass time ago.
she also seems to have pretty strong ties to the Legion. I know she filled in a lot, but it seems like a lot of people go to her for like commissions of Legionnaires, and she had that Valor run. She did several of those, and I think those look great personally. But
yeah, she did a bunch of Valor, and she was kind of a go-to kind of fill-in or doing annuals and stuff in the sort of the beer bombs era.
I think they go to her a lot for like Silver Agey flashback stories. Because her style does have that kind of Kurt Swan
and Element Lad. I guess this is almost part of the same cycle as the famous Siobhan Aaron transition story in Legion of Superheroes. I'm going to guess it off of the top of my head. It's number.
Did she do the interior of that? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's number 16. Is it 16 or is it 26?
We need game show music for this part. No. Did you say 16?
Yep. Oh, it's not 16.
I thought it was a lot later.
I think it is. I said either 16 or 26, but it could be into the 30s.
I thought it was in the 30s, but I don't.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's 31. It's 31.
We have a winner.
Bum, bum, ba, ba.
Yeah.
31. I'm going to erase all those other guesses and just go straight to 31 like I knew the whole time.
She did do this one looks good too.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like Dave Gibbons the way it's inked.
Yeah, I think it's Doran and Al Gordon.
He's a good inker.
I think he's better on Doran than DeCarlo. Like DeCarlo knows what he's doing, but I'm not a big DeCarlo fan. Nothing against the guy. He's a veteran. He's done a million comics.
Well, Gordon he has a pretty substantial run on Legion, right?
Well, he did all those Giffen ones,
right.
all the Volume 4 Giffen ones, and then a handful of Volume 3 Giffen ones. Maybe even only like 5 or 6. Most of that was DeCarlo.
I like the continuity of if you have the artist floating, but you keep the inker, like it's still kind of meshes together because of the inker. Like after Jack Kirby left Fantastic Four, like there was a bunch of different guys like John Romita and John Buscema and Keith Pollard and all these different, even George Perez. But Joe Sinnott kept inking it, so it all kind of fits together.
Was there Joe Sinnott inking George Perez comics?
Pretty sure.
Huh, weird.
As far as I know, he stayed all the way up till Byrne. And then I think Byrne kicked him off.
Wow.
And then even after Byrne left, I think he came back.
I think there might have been some Byrne and Sinnott.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe like a cover or something. I don't think he was full time because I think it was Byrne
Austin
or Ordway.
Yeah, later
he had some of Fantastic Four is Byrne or Ordway.
Yeah, towards the end.
Yeah,
I think because Ordway
he took over, right?
He ended up taking over as artist.
So I guess these two are kind of like married as of this story. Sort of the idea here. They pray together. They
Is this comic code sex?
I guess so. Where she's like twirling his little curls with her finger. Right. This is not a code approved book, but the artist or the author is definitely a code approved comic book writer. Super boring.
Are these truly not code approved, or they just didn't bother putting the?
I don't think any of the direct market Baxter stuff is code approved. There's no stamp.
Oh.
This one is probably code approved. Yeah, this is. So if there's any objectionable stuff in the Baxter version, they would have had to remove it for this, but I bet it's 1-to-1.
Weird. So what if they say like damn or hell? Do they change it in the?
They can say that in code approved books. They just can't say in a code approved book.
I remember always one of the reasons I like the DC books better I was like, the DC books, Green Lantern can say, and he can say, and they never did that in the Marvel books that I read anyway.
Yeah, one of the probably the first comic book that I bought or that got me into like getting comic books. Probably the first comic I got was that Superman, the Alan Moore, or whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow thing.
What?
Like that was like the first comic book I got.
So the last issue of
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
50-year run you happen to get.
And like by like classic issue, one of the best ones, all downhill after that.
Right.
But yeah, that has this part where
Yeah, some pretty dark shit happens in that, right?
yeah, it's messed up. Lex Luthor's hiking out to the Fortress of Solitude or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then the like Brainiac's destroyed body is there, but somehow Brainiac takes over Lex Luthor's body and like melds with him or something.
Right.
But like you know how Brainiac had like the robotic Brainiac had these little like mirror shaped things in his brain on the top of his head.
Like a honeycomb.
Yeah, yeah. Those like become little things and they start to overcome Lex Luthor and as a way to show it's taking over his body, and they're like crawling up his arms and stuff, and he's like, what the heck? As a little kid I'm like, oh shit, they say in a comic book. I bet somebody says in that too, but he says for sure.
Right.
I was 8, you know.
They can say anything now, I guess. I was reading an Avengers book maybe 10 years ago. I bought it only because Walt Simonson drew it. And this is at the peak of my anti-Marvelness, so I hadn't read any in decades. And they had the Beast used to famously say stuff like, oh my and it's like his thing. But in this one, he's going fuck and shit. And I'm like, what? it didn't feel right. It felt out of character. I guess it's more realistic, but at some point, those things kind of become part of those characters. Those silly language substitutes.
I think there really should be more of that. I think that makes the language a little bit more colorful and a little less just stupid, like not everything has to be Shakespeare or anything like that. But, like, yeah, us mere mortals, yeah, we say shit and fuck when we're surprised. And when we say, what the fuck? And when we step on something and hurt our toe, we're like, God damn it.
Right.
You have a professional writer. People don't have to say that. It doesn't have to be that realistic, Have somebody say, Holy Mother of Mary, all my stars and garters.
Great guns, great Scott.
Exactly.
Like some of those just have been around so long, they just feel like they're part of the architecture of comics or something.
Yeah. The next section is on Xerox, the Sorcerer's. I have a hard time saying Sorcerer's World.
Sorcerer's World.
Sometimes I want to try and get a little mid-Atlantic to cancel out my nasal Kansas. But you can't say Sorcerer's World that way because it's Sorcerer's World, and I'm not going to do that. Sorcerer's World Xerox.
Planet of the photocopiers.
The air is unbreathable because of the toner.
Right. Yeah, it seems like 99% of the time they just call it the Sorcerer's World, right?
And I think like here it's spelled with a Z, Zerox. I think there was a time in history when it was just like the copy machine starts with an X, Xerox. And I remember in the rebooted Archie Legion, they just changed it. It's Xerox, Zarrox. They don't want any liability or actionability or whatever you call it.
Like that company may have existed, but wasn't as prominent when they first came up with the name.
I guess so, yeah.
And then it started becoming more of a household name by the 80s. More people were making copies.
Right, they have a term for that, right? Like, oh, Kleenex is a brand name, but we all just call them a fucking Kleenex.
Right.
No, nasal tissue.
Right.
I don't know.
I hate that shit.
What, runny nose? Me too.
I always feel like I've been fooled, like I've been such a rube. I've been tricked into using a brand name all this time.
Oh, right.
Like when you finally discover that's not really what it's called. It's not really a Q-tip. It's a swab. You've been bamboozled.
Yeah, I'm like, honey, are we having quarter pounders with cheese for dinner tonight?
Right. McNuggets. I think I called all nuggets McNuggets for a while when I was a kid.
Anyway, all these sorcerers on the sorcerer's world, they're up to something. They have this weird glass cloche with a rocky blob inside of it, and they're
Making copies.
the Witchmeister.
White Witcherama.
Oh boy.
They are surrounding a mysterious lump of coal.
Yeah, and they're going, I don't know what they're going to do. It turns out it's Mordru in there. I don't know where Mordru had been. He was just imprisoned, I guess, somewhere on the sorcerer's world, and now they're deciding to set him free. What the fuck?
We picked this one because last week we wanted to know where Mordru had been.
And we still don't know, right? They don't say.
Mm-hmm. They've covered him in shit.
Poor guy.
His weakness is manure.
Like if Princess Projector is here, there would be no question in her mind who is in there because she can see right through that shit. Like we had to wait a whole page to find out who's going to be in there. They put some kind of spell on Mordru and they turn him from being a bad guy into a good guy. He breaks out of this thing and he thinks he still has the power and he's calling them fools, saying he's going to kill them all and they're going to be eating his shit from then on. And they're like, nah, we have all your power. We're going to fix you.
They've toned his costume down quite a bit. He's got kind of a Charlie Brown sweater here and green leggings.
His hat is a little different. It's not like a fez with wings. It's just like a, I don't know, like a skull cap shaped. It doesn't have the flat top.
Where's the eyeball?
Yeah, it doesn't have the eyeball jewel either.
Mm-hmm. It was the 80s. Maybe he had leg warmers too.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. So they suck all the evil out of him.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they do to him. They make it seem like has the mind of a child when all is said and done. White Witch says, "You are among friends, child in the body of a man," and he's like, "Friends?"
They've like lobotomized him.
Kinda, yeah. Like,
right.
This is some more of that kind of fascist type of criminal reformation stuff that they do here, where they just like, oh, to make him not a criminal, let's erase his mind.
It's slightly redeemed when you realize that he's probably faking it right here, right?
I have no idea.
I think he is.
I think literally the next time we see him is
he's back in charge.
Yeah, Legion number 3. Like in what year is this from? Oh, God damn it! It doesn't say. 1986. Next time we see him is 1989 or 90. 4 or 5 years later. And plus 5 years of time for the changeover between series. Yeah, and they don't really say how he became the boss again. He just did. They never explain it, I don't think.
I guess he could have like mentally aged back up through the years, and maybe she tried to bring him up as a good guy, but he went. Yeah, it was just in his nature to be evil again, or something.
I think part of it is a consequence of those magic wars, where a bunch of these wizard people, they leave the universe forever. And so, and I guess they didn't take Mordru with them.
I think he's faking it. I think he's fooling these pompous know-it-all wizards who think they've reformed him. He's just playing the long game and waiting.
I think he looks like Alan Moore here.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to see if this was...
He does in that particular panel, yeah.
Like, this is about the same time as Watchmen has come out. So there isn't yet bad blood between DC Comics and Alan Moore. So it's not like some kind of thing where Paul Levitz is like, well, let's stick it to that guy for being such an asshole. We'll draw him into the comic as a supervillain and then have his brain erased.
Right.
Or something like that. It's not like that. Alan Moore is still good. Like, in fact, there's an ad for like Swamp Thing. He's got a Swamp Thing double size issue coming out next month or whatever, you know?
I don't remember exactly what he looked like back then, but of course he had brown hair back then.
But maybe like Shawn McManus had drawn Swamp Thing, so maybe he was like, I'm going to make this wizard like the other wizard I worked with, Alan Moore.
I could see that for sure.
But what all said and done in the White Witch sequence, Mordru is a child in the body of a man, and he's ready to get on with a new, happy, healthy life with the other sorcerers on the sorcerer's world. I think maybe the next time he shows up, he's actually in that Amethyst miniseries where they show his origin. Really,
Okay.
it's not a good comic.
Right.
They explain his origin.
Somewhere in there. I guess it would be after 5 years later. He becomes like a regular enemy to the JSA. There's like a modern day version of him who's still youngish. What are your feelings on is it being buried in soil or just being cut off from oxygen?
I think they even say he's had a problem with the earth. So I think
Right.
he has to be buried.
Right. That's better, I think, than just needing air. It seems that's everyone's weakness.
Right. And I think earth, being buried in the ground seems more
Right.
like elemental or some shit
Right,
like that.
right, exactly.
Oh, and White Witch also decides to leave the sorcerers and go back to be with the Legion. I don't think they really follow it up. She doesn't show up later in the issue,
But we know at some point, I think, that she goes back to look after him. I think she was supposedly there to care for or help with Mordru's rehabilitation. That was the reason she went there. But somewhere along the line, the tables were turned and he made her into his slave.
all the White Witch story developments in this series don't add up to much. Like she's in it for here and there, and then she dramatically quits the team when they decide to use Infinite Man as a weapon and kill him to destroy the time trapper. And she's like,
she's definitely a pro Terry Schiavo kind of
right.
keep the tubes in kind of person.
But she left, and she supposedly went back to the sorcerer's world.
Right.
I guess that's after this, huh? I think wherever she's been, yeah, that's in issue 50.
50.
This is 27. So she goes back to the team, doesn't do much. She quits the team. And then she shows up again in like the last issue and I guess rejoins the team. But those might be her only like handful of appearances. She doesn't do much. She's not a big part.
That middle panel on the left, I like that a lot. She looks very alien there.
Oh yeah, she really looks like an elf or something, doesn't she? Did you ever try to draw her eyes? I was trying to draw that one time, and I'm like, this is impossible. Like the weird eyelashes that turn into antennas. Really strange.
Yeah, hard to do without it looking weird. Even some of the drawings on this page look bad. Like the one immediately to the left of the center looks weird.
This one. She looks weird in everyone. She never looks the same.
Right.
In any of the panels. Like they're always good drawings, but she never looks consistent. Next section. This is the Gene Colan section.
The great Gene Colan.
This stars Colossal Boy and Yira Allen, and they're having dinner with Colossal Boy's folks. I think almost all of the big Colossal Boy stories are Colossal Boy hanging out with his parents. Like, dude's such a square. Like, they got this one, this like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner one. I think they had another Guess Who's Coming to Dinner one. They've got the Christmas special one where he's having Hanukkah dinner with I guess it's his mom. I remember it being just some really old, dowdy, gray-haired woman, not the typical drawing of Marty Allen.
Well, unlike most of the other members, his parents are like right down the street. Almost everyone else is from another planet. And of course, his mom was the president.
If your mom was the president, would you want to have dinner with her more often or less often?
More, probably.
Really?
Try to get hooked up or learn some special information. I don't know.
To sell to your commie buddies.
His parents have always played a big role, it seems, though, because I think there was one of the main stories he was featured in the 70s. Like, I think the Legion of Supervillains kidnapped his father, maybe? I can't remember. Like, his parents had shown up a few times even before the 80s.
Yeah, I think there's that one where he starts to be the
Maybe he has to join the Legion of Supervillains, or they'll kill his parents, or something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. Like he goes undercover and joins them and trains bad guys or something like that.
Right.
And he's fighting against the Legion. Like that's a Silver Age one.
Oh, that's Silver Age. Yeah.
I
Okay.
believe so. Yeah, maybe like a Jim Shooter one, maybe a later Silver Age one.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish he would have shown up more in 5 years later, because they seem to be going a very different direction with him, like gone back to being a cop for whatever reason.
Yeah, he was just like a boss cop.
Hmm.
Like that just continues his extremely boring trajectory as a
Right.
character. Like he goes from being one of the most boring square ass legionnaires to he's a cop. And I'm sure he's like the best cop and he's really great and everybody likes him as a cop.
Right.
And he's got his wife as a babe and he loves his parents. Like, okay, great. Want to hear more about this guy.
I always thought of him as kind of a southerner, like a Texan, because of that costume. Because it looks like a cowboy outfit. His
Oh,
original
the old one.
costume.
Yep.
Before I learned more about him, I just automatically assumed, oh, he must be from like the planet Texas. There's a planet equivalent to Texas where they just raise livestock and everyone on the planet has southern accents. Everything's a little bit bigger there.
That must be where that character, the Westerner, is from.
Is that a Legion villain?
I don't know if he's a hero or a villain, but he has this really like star spangled, stupid costume with a visor. It's
Oh
like a
yeah,
red, white, blue costume with like stars and stuff.
yeah. And then Superman had some reoccurring like cowboy villain, right? He's like some kind of space cowboy who's always trying to ride him like a bronco.
What was that guy's name? It's like Voltrax or something like that.
Right,
Boltar? I don't know.
right.
Valtrex.
Some kind of medication.
This is kind of an interesting. I wasn't quite sure what they're talking about or what she's getting at. Yira Derlin Shapeshifter. She says, um, she points out that Sensor Girl has these new abilities to see
Hmm.
the true form of things and says, I wonder what she would see when looking at a Derlin. And then Marty Allen's, she's like, yeah, perhaps then we'd find out what you really are, I suppose. What a fascinating idea. And then Yira's like, it's not the way I meant it. I don't know. I wonder how she did mean it. What did she?
Yeah, I mean, this is all like a stand-in for an interracial marriage, right?
Yeah,
And the parents are trying to be hip with it, but they have like prejudices.
yeah. I kind of feel like it's supposed to be some kind of tone deaf thing for
Hmm.
Mrs. Allen to say, as
Hmm.
if Yira is one actual thing when, as a
Right.
Durlan, she's whatever she doesn't have a true form, or
Right.
your true form isn't one single thing.
You would think they'd have the dad saying that. You'd think the mom would at least be more tactful, being that she was a politician.
Yeah, I think Dad just doesn't ever say anything.
Yeah, she's a
He's just a total
right,
nobody.
right.
He says now,
Yes, dear.
Jim. I think he
Hmm.
says that.
Hmm.
Like he's trying not to have any conflict. He's like, now hold it.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything. Poor old Dad Allen. There's no word balloons coming out of him.
He's just the dad who's present and grunts occasionally.
The body language of Yira is she's always bent over,
Oh, show her butt off or something.
or something.
Cleavage.
Over and over again, she's just bent at the waist, like lifting up something. And for some reason, Colossal Boy decides to grab her when she's holding a tray of food, and she spills it all. But then she turns into a bird and like collects it all real fast.
Very convenient.
Colossal Boy's like, hardy har har.
Don't Durlins have a true form?
I don't think they do. I think that,
I thought they were like weird, tenderly things under there.
yeah, I don't know. They show them in the cloak and
Hmm.
they show a little bit of tentacles coming out,
Yeah.
but maybe that's not how they always are.
Yeah.
I think the cloak is to make us feel like they are like the way they really look, quote unquote, actually look, is unknowable. I think maybe that's
Right.
what that represents.
I've always been fuzzy on all that. I mean, obviously, they originally intended to be the orange guys with the pointy ears and the antennas. Somewhere along the line, they realized, well, why stick with that? We could be more imaginative. But they're subjected to prejudice constantly. Why doesn't she look like a person here? If this isn't her true form that she's being, why is she picking it?
Yeah, it's strange. Like you would think that her day to day look would be that of a typical blonde haired lady.
Well, either that or who she truly is, not this that is neither. Yeah, I don't know.
Later, she grows hair. She has a ponytail in the New 52 period. And she's split from Colossal Boy.
Is she in the Legion or?
Yep, she's a member of the Legion team.
So they must have changed the rules. Or was Chameleon Boy gone?
I think maybe Chameleon Boy isn't part of it. This is the final section? We're back at Legion headquarters, back to Greg LaRocque on the art chores. Kind of a confusing montage of what's happening, where they show all the Legionnaires doing things all at the same time.
It's hard not to laugh at Tom's clothes.
Oh yeah, his lavender and white.
Right, especially because he's like the manly one, right? He's the one with the full beard.
They show him later on. They kind of show it close up. It kind of just looks like his Silver Age costume back here.
Right, it does there.
But yeah, this looks like his, like he's an ice skater or something in a costume. There's nothing wrong with that. It looks fine. He can wear whatever he wants.
Sure.
He has the hottest woman in the universe after Princess Projectra as his girlfriend.
What's going on with the Starfield in her costume? At first, I thought it was it's just to indicate that her costume is reflecting, but it looks like it's consistently a Starfield, like his costume.
Oh, you think she's wearing like a ladies version of?
Well, yeah. If you look at every panel, it's black with white. Like at a quick glance, you'd think it was like they're indicating shininess, but
right. I thought it was just dark and shadow.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It is stars. I think Greg LaRocque just goofed, or Mike DeCarlo goofed, whoever did that.
Or maybe she's wearing his clothes. I don't know.
But it's her costume. You can see like the little details are like the bracelet is the Dream Girl costume.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I didn't really notice that either. But they're doing their big chill thing and they're all talking, right?
Their big chill thing. Where's Invisible Kid's shirt?
He doesn't wear a shirt.
Are you sure?
Oh, he is. It's just not colored, huh?
He could just be wearing a necklace, I guess.
He's wearing an invisible shirt. Come on.
Oh yeah. Still mastering those powers.
Oh, look at this. In the
does he have a shirt?
He has a shirt on here. Because this is a code approved book. There can't have any nude black men in it.
Right.
Code approved comic book. God, so much racism.
I just realized it's all in one room. There's a logic to it. I thought it was just like a sloppy montage.
Oh no, it is all in one room.
They're just all levitating.
I think there's supposed to be a big, like it's a dome or something. Like you see all this clouds and stuff. They've got a big bright window, but I'm not sure what this rainbow effect is. But this must be, I don't know, is this Legion Academy at Old Montauk Point or something like that? You can see the ocean. I guess it's at Legion headquarters. So this is all just fake. I don't know.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's the Illusion Caster. That's what Shrinking Violet says. So they have a giant holodeck screen or something there. But yeah, this whole thing where they're hanging out at headquarters having drinks, it's kind of boring. I don't really get the point. It sort of gets to the end and I don't know. I almost thought that they're having a leader election, but it's not. They're voting on who the new Legionnaire is going to be, and of course it's Censor Girl.
Right.
It is kind of an interesting detail. Element Lad is like, I'm proud to announce that we've elected for the third time in her career our newest Legionnaire. So yeah, this is the third time that she's joined the team as a Legionnaire. I don't think anybody else has ever done that.
Right, because once it was a Projectra, and then the second time maybe she was disqualified or something
No,
because
I
she
think
joined under false pretenses,
no, I
or
think it was
no?
Projectra joined. They admitted Projectra, and then they admitted Censor Girl, and then she
Right.
quit, and then they admitted
Oh,
her
she
again.
quit.
She must have quit somewhere along the line in the last couple of issues to go back to Orlando, and then she was like, "Nah, screw this. I don't want to be Queen Projectra. I want to have
Hmm.
fun as the most uptight Legionnaire." So she went back
Right.
to join the Legion team.
With her fun-loving former self riding on her back.
Yeah, like this is the true version, and this is the
Hmm.
illusion bullshit version.
Hmm.
And if she could just take a serious look at herself, she would see that Censor Girl. She would see right through that baloney.
What a
Yeah,
hypocrite.
totally.
Or maybe it's like, and maybe it is this, like she's like the Princess Projector stuff was the bullshit. This is who I really am.
With the mask and the
Right, right,
like that, like the blonde hair instead of the white hair.
right.
I mean, I guess, you don't have to be the way you were when you were born. You can be whatever you want. So
Yeah.
maybe this is what she wants and who she really is.
So what's going on with that name? Would she be popular today? Could she be like the cancel culture lady that censors everything? Like
Oh.
it's because she senses things. Is that the idea? Or is it a double, it has a double meaning, right? Like her secret identity is censored, like we don't know what it is.
I guess so.
Like she's got
I
super
mean,
smell,
it
super.
was never an appropriate name for her power set to call her Censor Girl because, I mean, we didn't quite know what she even did.
Hmm.
She seemed to be, all she had, she actually just has Princess Projector powers, but they kind of all displayed as mysterious. Maybe she was strong. Maybe she had psychic powers or something like that. But
She have some magic stuff going on too.
I think the the bullshit detector stuff is the magic stuff.
Right. Okay. Like she learned some stuff from the wizards or whatever on her planet.
Yeah, in the beginning of this, she says that they gave her those powers before she got sent back as Censor Girl, I think. But yeah, the Censor Girl is not quite a descriptive name of whatever her powers are because
Hmm.
she doesn't exactly sense anything. But
Hmm.
that just kind of supports your point that they probably didn't intend her to actually be Princess Projectra under there. And then Invisible Kid has his shirt on this last page. In both
Okay.
versions of the comic, it's orange.
It blends in with his skin tone really well on the page I'm looking at, but so does the belt. So it looks like his pants cut down and show some of his crotch.
Yeah, in that first panel you pointed it out. That
Yeah.
is how it looks. I just thought it was a weird style, just a future style. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wildfire is very pleased at the admission of Censor Girl.
Yeah. I feel like his body language is not a character.
Oh, and I think he's actually hit, like he punched Quizlet over there when he
Jeez.
threw his fist up in the air.
And Starboy thinks it's funny.
Starboy doesn't
Or,
give a fuck.
or maybe Starboy is checking out Censor Girl's ass. Maybe that's what he's smiling about.
It's just an illusion, Starboy. White Witch didn't make it back for this party.
No, she would have been a stick in the mud anyway. She probably has to research a spell.
She is such a drag.
She's always like whining. I didn't have time to learn this new spell.
Right. Anytime you need her, it's like, well, I
Right.
need to practice. I need study time. And it's like, what are you doing all the time that they're not in action as the superheroes? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she always seems very put upon when they need her to do something. It's like,
Yeah.
haven't you memorized any of the go-tos, like a force field or something by now?
And then whenever they decide to kill somebody, she gets all uptight about it and leaves.
Right. She always whines, well, I'll do it. Not that it's going to be easy for me. You expecting me to remember all this at the very last second.
They should be like, how come you can't be a little more like your sister?
Still the old hag.
Well, that's it.
Wasn't that her original name?
Yep, the old hag. The shriveled up old hag. That's the Legion of Superheroes 27. I think we just wanted to look at the Gene Colan art, right? Is that why we chose this one?
We wanted to figure out what was going on with Mordru.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I don't know if we're any clearer on what's going on with him. He's nice. He's nice now.
Maybe. Could just be an act.